Hi and welcome to this Blueberry Markets video update with me, John Kibler, head currency analyst. In this video we're going to go through the Forex market outlook. We're going to look at the currency strength and weaknesses, and we're going to focus on the majors because we've been really looking for that dollar strength to come in, and last week that was a part of our analysis, was looking for that dollar strength to come in if we were to get those breaks in trends on daily time frames, and that didn't go our way. The market continued that dollar bearishness and pushed to the upside, and we've seen a couple of breakouts. And if I just bring in the strength and weakness chart, we can see that the Australian dollar was the strongest currency of the week, gaining 5 places on across other currencies. So Aussie is super strong. The dollar did gain a place, but only 1 place, and evidently still very weak. And we've also, looking at sort of euro weakness through there, Swiss and yen. So really this week we could be looking for that Australian dollar continuance in that strength that we've seen recently, and we can see that across multiple pairs. So here I've got the euro, pound, Aussie, Kiwi, Aussie Swiss, Aussie CAD. And the reason being is I've chosen these because it's just showing you that kind of trend breakdown. So we can see on the weekly here on euro, we had that nice bearish weekly close last week. That suggested to us that we could start seeing a bit of a pullback in price. And it's important to note that when we talk about the weekly price action, it's then dive into the daily, because if the daily trend doesn't change, then it's likely that we're not going to see that weekly breakdown. And if we look at the daily time frame, we didn't get that change in trend. The market came up. This is the low that we needed to see break and taken out. It didn't do that. We started to get some bullish days, and then the market started to push back to the upside, and that's quite evident across the other major currencies. Now euro hasn't formed a new high, so this is still kind of technically in that little bit of an area where it could still start to drive a little bit lower, but at the moment obviously this is one of the only ones that hasn't broken out. Because if we look at pound, you can see that on the weekly time frame, again, we were looking for that potential for this market after it rejected this high, close below, that we could see a bit of a move lower. And again, that's why I look at the daily trend as well. The weekly is only going to show you a bit of price action. If you go to the daily time frame, has the trend broken down? And what we wanted to see from the trend was a breakout of these lows, and we didn't get that. And now the market trend has continued to the upside. It's now formed a new high. Now what I'd really like to see is, if this was going to continue up, what I'd like to see is a second daily close above. So Monday, if price can break and close above again, that would signify to me that we are going to see a potential continuation of this trend through there. So yeah, looking a bit bullish here on pound. Aussie's looking extremely bullish, really nice bullish close. We were looking at the RSI, looking at the fact that price was making higher highs, the RSI was making lower highs, and expecting a bit of a drop back. I mean, wasn't expecting too much, maybe just into this 0.7 area. Didn't quite get that in the end, and the markets rallied to the upside. Again, we looked at a counter trend move, which aren't as successful as trend trading moves, but we wanted this low to break through here in order to be really on that short side of the market. And then obviously it popped back to the upside. It's broken and formed a new high once again. So looking at this, looking at Aussie in a little bit more detail, where could Aussie really head up to? And on the monthly time frame, there's a nice little level around about that 0.75, which could come into play on this move up. So what I'm kind of expecting here from Aussie now is either a continuance up into that level where we start seeing some downside, or a little bit of a pullback continuation move through there. So what I'm going to be watching to see is if the market does drop back down, even if we're going to the 4-hour time frame, and just see where that blue line is now. If the market does drop back down into this area, gives us a sort of double bottom pattern or anything like that, that could be ideal in looking for long positions here on Aussie. Going into Kiwi, pretty much the same sort of thing going on here. Now, Kiwi was the only one I wasn't too interested in last week, because Kiwi was already at this weekly support, and we can see that's been a really good move there on Kiwi. That weekly trend has started to continue, so we could see again another rally up in the New Zealand US dollar prices. Daily time frame has now broken trend. Okay, so we can see here, nice little downtrend. The market's broken trend now, creating a higher high. So again, I just like to mark up that zone there. Will the market come and retest this zone before continuing up? That's what I'm going to be looking for here on Kiwi dollar. Aussie Swiss and Aussie CAD are looking good, because if I go to the sort of weekly time frame in Aussie Swiss, you've got all this kind of range area. Market's kind of breaking out of that now. If I go to the daily time frame, we can see that price had this consolidation area. More short term, that's broken out, so we could see a little bit of a drop continuation here on Aussie Swiss. Aussie CAD as well was something that we were looking to short a couple of weeks ago, which we did quite successfully, and the market has now kind of made this nice little lower low, lower high pattern, breakout into higher highs. So once again, just kind of seeing that trend is continuing. You know, why is that trend continuing? Well, if you look left, we're at that weekly supporting level. You know, the market's found that area and buyers have stepped back in. That strength has continued. So, you know, that's why it's sometimes good to look at the weekly just through here, mark up those levels on the weekly so you can see that high was the area of interest. Hit that, it's now starting to push back to the upside. We've got that nice daily breaking trend. So all I'd do now is just mark up this high through here and say to myself, well, if price comes back into this zone, could we then look to go long? We can see the averages are just starting to spread out here as well. So what we could be looking for is a nice little bit of a downtrend on the 4 hour to this point, then look for the trend continuation through here. So Aussie is looking very, very strong. Looks to be the currency to watch this week. We were looking for obviously the breakdown last week, you know, and it just hasn't come through. Weeklies are just and daily just really nicely changing trend now or continuing the uptrend, I should say. But that's why it's super important when looking for these kind of reversal setups, is that you don't expect too much of a move. You know, as long as the market is in that uptrending environment, we need to kind of look for those continuations now. So if we do see a pullback, look for the market to long up into that 0.75 area this week. Okay, so keep an eye on that. I hope you enjoyed the content so far and last week, and if you did, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I'll speak to you soon.